Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV, Redemption Thursday edition. And it is always good to have you on board. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. You're driving about town. You're listening to 93.3, the only locally owned and operated radio station in Tallahassee. Appreciate your support. Thanks for doing that. And I would also say thanks to all of you watching on Warchant TV on the YouTube. Hello to everybody in the chat. Hello to everybody downloading the show via podcast. As we like to say, thanks a lot. It's fun to do this, especially on Redemption Thursday. Weird, Tom, real quick, just take a quick moment, this being the 24th anniversary of 9/11. It is always weird this time of year. It always happens early in the season, obviously, and I'm always conflicted on what to do on this day on the show, because the show is an escape from the real world most days, and we like to provide that, obviously, when we can. At the same time, this is one of those events in the country, not unlike, let's say, Pearl Harbor or Kennedy's assassination, or name some of the other most significant dates in our country's history that it's etched indelibly for everybody who has lived here or was certainly alive. But that's where bring me to my point. You know, it's strange, Tom, to get up every morning. I get up every morning with my kids, and I'm the morning guy. And I always kind of try to get the day started right for them. I'm an early riser anyhow, so it's fun for me to do, and I embrace that role. My wife does not love getting up early, so I get to do it. And I make the coffee, and I take the dogs out, and I do the things, and I have a little time to think to myself, and I go on the walks. This morning, by the way, holy moly, some more football wins out there today. If you got up on time to feel them, it was incredible. And then I make the sandwiches and I get the breakfast ready. And so this morning, it dawns on me, and I was taking the time to think about what I was doing on this day 24 years ago. And I know exactly what I was doing because I was on the air. And that always blows me away. I was on the air at the time and with Matt Millar. And back in those days, kids, there was a ticker. You had like a ticker, or you cut to like ABC News. That's all there was. Like, you had very limited information. It was not the way it is now, where there's an excess of information for all of us. And I think at times it overloads us and desensitizes us and all of those things. But I know what I was doing, and I still have the audio from that day. I don't go back and listen to it. I have before. I think I did on the 10th anniversary, just to jog my memory of how we handled that. I was nervous to think about how I handled that on the air at that time. But subsequently, I was proud of the work Matt and I did to a certain extent on that day. But I always take the time to think about those who did lose their lives on that day. And I also take the time to appreciate the life I still have and the family that I have and the friends that I have. It's a day that allows for easy reflection. And we all know that there are a lot of days like that throughout the year, anniversaries of tragic situations, people's birthdays, whatever it might be. This is one of those for me. And I think it is for most Americans. And we take the time to think about that. And then it occurs to me that, neither of my kids were even close to being alive at that time. And so I wondered, Tom, when I visited you in New York with my family last year, and you were gracious enough to take me into your home, the whole family, we had wonderful access, obviously, to the city. And during that time, I was able to take the kids to the 9/11 memorial, to the museum, and to do those things. And it is, for those that haven't gone, you should when you get the chance. It's breathtaking and tragic and very thorough. It's all the things. And I reminded my boys of that this morning, but then I asked them, how do they cover it in school? Think about it. You were finishing college. You finished college 06?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you were only 5 years removed from the tragedy of 9/11.
I was a freshman in high school. Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up, Tom, is because when an event such as this is only 5 years removed while you're in college, there isn't a historical context to be had quite yet. You think about it, if you talk to people who went to high school in the early to mid 70s, they weren't yet studying the ramifications of Vietnam. It was so fresh. It had just happened. So there was no historical perspective yet on Vietnam. If you take history classes now, and both my boys have AP history. They love it. They love the teacher at Leon, and they of course go over that era. They go over Vietnam. They go over all of the 60s and the volatile period that it was, and all the way up, and they study 9/11 for what it was. It is now a historical event, which is weird for us who lived in it. It's like you and me asking our parents about what the 60s were like, with all of the tragedies and the volatility in the country. And, you listen to them closely because you've only read about it in a book. We weren't around. That's the way our kids view 9/11. And I find that absolutely fascinating. And I wonder how schools teach 9/11 now, because it is a historical subject in a way that it isn't for you and I. You had a family member pass away in 9/11. Obviously, I was a grown man doing a show during 9/11. We were of the moment, in the country at the time. It's not history to us. We lived it, but it is to all of our kids.
100%. Well, and a lot of, I think in a lot of instances in classrooms around this country, somebody's my age teaching those high school kids or teaching those middle school kids, and they can speak to what they went through on that day. And I will tell you what was interesting about that day was that was, I think, the internet's first real time updating major world event in the United States. Since high-speed internet was a thing, because I can remember going from period to period in my school in Clearwater, and each teacher finding out more and more information, adding on the layers of what's going on in Pennsylvania, what happened at the Pentagon, the numbers, the dead, and then obviously the buildings falling. We watched that on television. So there was TV breaking news, but then there was this internet thing with statements from around the world, who claimed responsibility, all that kind of stuff. It was the first of its kind, and it was well before social media would have the instantaneous knowledge. It was, you would go to msn.com or yahoo.com and hit the refresh page, and the picture in the front page would change, and they tell you different things. I recall that, and I was so happy in retrospect to be when a lot of this was going down in my global studies class, because that teacher had such a mature worldview and was capable of handling himself in that moment. He wasn't a science teacher. He wasn't a math teacher. He was a world events teacher. And those 45 minutes that I had that day in period 3 were invaluable to help kind of calm the waters. What I can tell you, long story short, is that when I went to my uncle's funeral, and he was a captain in the fire department, Fran J. Callahan, when I went to that funeral, I did know, I was certainly aware in the moment of the history that I was taking in.
Yes, magnitude.
I was a passenger through a history textbook who was, I don't ever want to say the word fortunate in that sense, but I understood the magnitude of the moment that I was in, and I've etched that. I could lose my faculties in my 80s or 90s, buddy. I'll never, ever forget exactly the sounds, the smells, the looks, the expressions, the tears, all of it. It is something that I can't really believe happened in real life, but it did, and it hurts every year this day. It really does,
and it will for the rest of your life. Again, for you, it is different because you had a family member pass, and I remember when we first got to know each other, and you telling me that, and me being absolutely floored by that information. And you're right. It's interesting, and for different reasons or to greater degrees, maybe, certainly we could say, but I think everybody on that day, the anniversary being today, that of a certain age, knew in the moment that the world had changed forever. You knew it in the moment it was happening. You knew what you were watching. I remember, as you say, gathering around the television, checking a computer, trying to find out information. I've told the story on the air before. My parents were flying from Pennsylvania. I found out that there was a plane from Pennsylvania that had gone down, and so you're frantically trying to reach people to find out whether or not they're okay, that kind of stuff. A lot of people have a lot of stories like that, and a lot of us remember just not being able to get up, like off the couch, just watching every second. What next? Is there another plane? What's happening? And being frozen in disbelief almost. And that is the first. There have been a lot of life-changing events in everybody's life. We all have them. They're unavoidable. But that was the first one that I ever felt like, I knew instantaneously, like you were just describing, we are living through a period of time that is going to forever alter the way we live our lives.
I can promise you that the sky never looked the same to me after that day. I don't look at it the same way as I did when I was going to PE class in 7th and 8th grade. And it's still the same. I won't belabor this point, but you remember the view when you're up in New York, you look across Jamaica Bay and you can see the skyline in New York. One of my first memories, one of my core memories, is when I lived on 144th, just west of where you were. I showed you the house. That window, I can still see the two towers from when I was a toddler through the window. And so every time I look through it when I moved back there and I saw the Freedom Tower, it's just, it's unfathomable, but it's something that's real. And one thing that my generation is the gateway for is two things. The internet, high-speed internet, the advent of that. I remember the before and the after. And I remember the before and the after the culture of violence that we have in this country, because Columbine happened when I was in elementary school.
Right.
I was in a lockdown in high school when that was a new thing. We were shut down. There were helicopters overhead because there was an active gunman around the campus. Thankfully, he never stepped foot on CCC's campus. But I remember what that felt like. And now, unfortunately, violence is so pervasive. And 9/11, of course, is a terrorist attack. But it all feeds into the same machine where you get numb and you get apathetic towards this stuff. And it's just a day like today makes you feel that anger all over again. And obviously yesterday you got shootings all over the country. So it's just, it has become too normalized. And I can remember, just like the pre-internet and pre-cell phones and smartphones, I can remember when that wasn't a thing.
Correct. Correct. Wasn't a thing. So on this day, to put a ribbon on that, I always begin the show on the anniversary of 9/11, reflecting on 9/11, and perhaps what it means in our lives might be different for you guys out there, but just taking the time to feel grateful for the people in my life that I love and that I get to work with and that I get to call a wife or dad or son. Very, very fortunate in that way, or mom. Speaking of which, she will join us today on the program. We are not going to forget to do that. We are off tomorrow on a Libations Friday because of the bye week. We are taking that day. So today we're packing it all in. We've got Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports going to join us. I've got to do Redemption Thursday picks. I did not forget to do that. You're damn right I did not forget to do that. We will take a look at those. In fact, we'll take a look at those right now. Let's do that right now. Tom's got the graphic. Pay me, Martha. It's a weird transition to go from 9/11 remembrance to picks. But what are you going to do? That's the show. We got to get on with the show, man. I took Clemson and I laid 3 at the time. I think it's moved from 3.5 to 3 and back to 3.5 and back down to 3. At the end of the day, I don't think Haynes King is healthy. And a non-healthy Haynes King means a disaster for Georgia Tech in this game. They got to run him and run him a ton. And the fact that he was questionable this week, I don't like the game plan, because my feeling is they're going to have him throw more than they'd like, and that is not his forte. Give me Clemson to bottle up Georgia Tech. Clemson to wake up from the fact that they sleptwalk again last week, and people are beginning to wonder, jaundiced eyes being pointed at Clemson. I think they'll have their attention locked to Georgia Tech in this one. I'll lay the 3. Oregon, folks, maybe. And it's an eye test, so, take it with a grain of salt. But when you look at Oregon's quarterback and you look at Oregon's athletes, you say they might be the best team in the country. They might be. Don't know. They're going to face much stiffer competition than they're facing this weekend, and we'll get a better test. They'll blow Northwestern out, folks. They're going to blow Northwestern out. Fox will be sitting there at big noon wondering, what are we doing? Why are we here? I haven't understood it all week long. I'm still pissed about it. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you racing to Northwestern just to see an ass kicking?
This would be where the late Greg Gumbel back in the day on CBS would cut to the other games. All right, we've seen enough here in Tulsa. We're going to head over to the games in Los Angeles, where we have a 6 versus 11. And if there's anything major that happens in Tulsa of our 116 game, we'll cut back to it. All right, this is CBS March Madness.
Yeah, smart. Right? Yes. You feel like they're going to be 7 minutes into this game. Like, all right, then Oregon's up 21-0. Northwestern's got their work cut out for them here. Don't know if they can run with the Ducks today, guys. We'll have to wait and see. So I'll lay the 27.5. It's less than 4 touchdowns. Oregon scored 69 points in 3 quarters last week. Jeez Louise, that's amazing. Good God. Give me Georgia to beat Tennessee. I'll lay the 3.5. I always pick Georgia in this game. I think annually I pick Georgia in this game, and I'll take the occasional bump in the road. But I do it every time because I think Georgia's defense handles Tennessee's offense well. And that's because their defensive line tends to overwhelm Tennessee's offensive line. And for all the high flying Tennessee wants to do, it never happens against Georgia. They don't throw it around the lot for 400 yards against them. So I'll take Georgia. Georgia's always allowed to play with the extra man deep in the backfield because their front gets pressure with 4, and that changes the game here. So I like Georgia, and I'll lay the 3.5. Arkansas, Tom, I did this for you. Arkansas might beat Ole Miss. There it is. And he needs it, buddy. He needs it. Ole Miss doesn't look right to me. I'm looking at you, Ole Miss. 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers to you, and I'm not feeling it. I don't like the way you're playing. You may be back in that tent of suspicion. Either way, I'll take Arkansas plus 7.5. If I was feeling froggy, I might moneyline it. You never know. I've got 24 hours, more than 24 hours to come up with the frogginess necessary to grab Arkansas on the money line. I might do it. Oklahoma to roll Temple. Mateer, a hero in Norman, Oklahoma. They got an offense again, everybody. Hey. I'll lay the 22.5 against Temple. Alabama to boat race Wisconsin like they did the last time they faced Wisconsin. This time around, Wisconsin has to go to Bama. That ain't going to be good. That Wisconsin offense is not Florida State's offense. That Wisconsin offense sucks. I think Alabama will be all right. I'll lay the 20.5. And by the way, not for nothing, that's good news if it happens. Root for Alabama, as hard as it may be, to boat race Wisconsin. We need more of those results from Bama as the year goes on. And you're like, You know who Bama didn't beat? You know who Bama didn't even really compete all that well with? That's right. Florida State. That's what you want to be talking about when Bama has won 7 straight after losing to Florida State. Houston minus 4.5 against Colorado. You know my feelings on Colorado, and I'll pick Houston. Certainly they'll win the coaching battle. Memphis minus 3.5 against Troy. You did the siren.
I did.
I think you did a better siren. I like yours.
I was already primed from the Woo Pig Suey. It comes from the same place. It's much like your football wins and your hokey noise.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah.
Memphis minus 3.5 against Troy. Tom correctly noted that I am playing that in my personal life. In the NFL, I did a little 2-team teaser pleaser. I couldn't go 2 weeks. I couldn't go 2 weeks of the NFL season without jumping in on the teaser pleaser. A lot of times I like to do a 3 or 4 team teaser pleaser just so I guarantee a loss. This time I whittled it down to a 2-team teaser pleaser because I can still get plus money with that teaser pleaser. If you guys don't understand what the teaser pleaser is, you can change the lines. That's right. You can change the lines. The Bills are actually 6.5-point favorites over the Jets. I need more than a touchdown if I'm going to take the Jets. So what did I do? Well, I need more than a touchdown and an extra point. I went across that important number of 7, and I moved it to 7.5 to the Jets. I think the Jets have a chance to win the game. How about them apples, everybody? But I took the 7.5. They're kind of live. The Jets are kind of live, in my opinion, but I'll take the 7.5 to be safe, and I'll marry it with the Dallas Cowboys, who actually played pretty well against the Eagles. And I think the Giants are terrible. And as long as they're going to continue to roll out Russ at quarterback, which is a catastrophic mistake, he can't play, but they keep rolling him out there, and he keeps sucking, and he'll keep sucking again. This time to the Dallas Cowboys laying the 2.5. We marry the 2. It's a 2-team teaser pleaser, and you get it at plus 171 if you do it. There you go. We're giving less than a field goal instead of the actual 3.5 that the spread is. Boom. Teaser pleaser, baby. Those are the Redemption Thursday wagers you were about to say, sir.
I was going to say, just for you visual audience out there, your spread bets are on the left for the college element, but for the NFL, you just explained it, but sometimes people don't listen and they just look at stuff. So the side that you're on for the teaser pleaser is actually on the right half of the NFL wager. So it is Jets plus 7.5, Cowboys minus 2.5. I just don't want you catching flack on a Sunday afternoon and say, I took the Giants plus 2.5, you son of a bitch. No.
Well,
it says your spread bets are on the left. No, they're on the right for this teaser pleaser. So there you go.
Well, also, by the way, if you're taking the Giants ever, you got to look in the mirror. I mean, stop taking the Giants. For goodness gracious, you watch football? Why are you taking the Giants? We've got some friends that are Giants fans out there. They know they're nodding their head yes right now.
Also, I didn't realize that Mickey Mouse listens to the show and wagers on your stuff. I took the Giants.
Lee Sterling's also got bets. He'll tell me what they are in a moment when he joins us. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, next on the Jeff Cameron Show. Bye week means we have to get together with all of our people a day early, and that's a good thing because it means we're talking about betting, talking about football, talking to Lee Sterling. Paramount Sports joins us right now on the Jeff Cameron Show. Hello, Lee. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm good. I love that. I heard a bunch of clients told me, they're fans of teams that have a couple buys this weekend. They're like, oh, I'm going to take my wife to the beach, do this and that. And one of them said to him, so-and-so, Seminoles are on a buy, right? He looks at his wife like, yeah.
That's everybody. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here, and I'm enjoying the football with my fat ass on the couch because I don't have to worry about covering anything. It's a day off and just a day of fandom, Lee. It's beautiful.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. You got to do what you got to do, right?
You had a good week last week. Let's keep it rolling. Yeah. LSU, a big favorite over Florida. Now, LSU looked terrible last week, but not as bad as Florida. Where are we at with this one, buddy?
So LSU probably could have gotten in the college football playoff if they would have won that game last year, Florida. They're up at the half, and then Florida somehow won, turned it around, and won that game 27-16. I think that's the game that saved Billy Napier. So now he's got to get his team back off the mat, and that was a rough loss for them last week. They settled for too many field goals here. I think the difference here is the speed. The linebacker speed at LSU is crazy. Those guys close on you and tackle running backs and quarterbacks and receivers like DB. So they were really bad when Kelly first took this job, but they're coming along. And I suspect DJ Lagway has an injury on his left leg. He's wearing that sleeve, that white sleeve. He did miss some time in fall camp. So I think that's contributing to part of the problem. He just is afraid to run here. And Death Valley, that place will swallow you up and spit you out here if you're not disciplined and playing at a high level. Billy Napier, I believe, is on borrowed time. Their next 4 games are almost impossible. He loses them all. Goodbye. Revenge here for LSU. I think this is their circle game. Everyone says Alabama, but I think this year when they saw the schedule, this is the first game they circled. Goodbye, Sunbelt Billy. 31-14, LSU.
LSU in a blowout. Wow. Clemson kind of slept walk against Troy. That was a scary halftime score for Clemson fans. Georgia Tech, Haynes King is going to play, although that sounds like he's not 100% or even close to it. Would you give the 3.5?
My first inclination was to take Georgia Tech. And Haynes King looks great. I mean, he's athletic when he's on. He's not 100%. I think for 4 or 5 games last year, he was playing or trying to play with a really really badly injured shoulder. Mm-hmm. They had to put in a bunch of their backups anytime they were in a throwing situation in a couple of those games. He did not play well a couple of years ago when they played Clemson. Now, Clemson probably not where they expected to be, but in that game a couple of years ago, Haynes King was 13 for 31, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, -3 total yards. So I think Georgia Tech talent-wise is very close, but Haynes King's also a fumbler. He's just one of these guys, been around forever, just can't seem to get over the hump and come up with a big win here. Also look for Adam Randall, Clemson running back, number 8, starting to come on. Looks like he'll be their bell cow. Not my favorite game. We got to pick the big game in the ACC. I like Clemson 30-24.
Miami gets to be the latest that USF hopes to victimize. USF, the college football darling of the early season, rightfully so. That is a big number. Miami is unquestionably the more talented team. Do they cover the 17.5, though?
So I thought the line, what did you think the line was going to be in this game, Jeff?
I actually thought it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 14.5.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be 12.5, 13.
Okay.
So I was wrong. Usually I'm within a 0.2 when anything under 20 points. Here's the difference, though. I was watching tape on it. I'm like, wow. Am I just seeing things, or does South Florida not have much of a pass rush? Then I went to the stats. They only had 3 defensive pressures in the game. That's it. And none were by defensive linemen. That could be a real problem. Going back to when Carson Beck was a freshman, so picture, there's 136 Division I teams. 4 years, he has the best passer rating of any quarterback that's still in college football. In fact, he's number 6 over those 4 years with a clean pocket. So his passer rating is sky high when he gets a clean pocket. Saw him in the game against Notre Dame when he had time to survey the field. He'll just pick you apart, making the right decision. Reminds me a little bit of Bernie Kosar in a way, making right decisions back in the day. So I just don't know how much South Florida has left in the tank here. I've upgraded them on my power ratings, but Byron Brown, he's going to take some hits here. He's already ran the ball 14 and 17 times in 2 games. They were with Miami last year at the half, and then Miami pulled away 50-15. I just think Carson Beck is going to cook here. Miami pulls away 34-14.
We go to the NFL where the Bengals are laying 3.5 against the Jags. Bengals get a road win to start the year in a close game against Cleveland. The Jags got off to a good start in the Liam Cohen era. What gives?
I think Jacksonville's an improved team. Why? They can run the football. First time they've run the ball for more than 150 yards in a long, long time in a game. I was talking to someone who really follows them, and he told me before the year, last year, they felt they only had 3 offensive linemen that were legitimate players. This year, 8. So big difference. They went to free agency, got a couple guys, developed some guys, got some guys in the draft. I think this is a different team. I think Lawrence looks different here at quarterback. I'll take the underdog here. Wrong team favored. Jacksonville pulls off the small upset here. 27-24.
All right, Bucks and Houston. Houston's defense very good. Offense, bit in question. Bucks get a squeaker of a win, but a win nonetheless on the road against Atlanta. This game is I find it unpickable. I'm glad that you're picking it. I'm not touching this game, Lee. I don't know if you're handing it out to your clients, but you have to pick it with us. So who you got?
I actually probably going to give this game out to my clients.
Wow.
And here's why. Tampa, I thought they were going to win last week, find a way somehow. The Atlanta rushers, the kids they drafted, just aren't ready yet. Little light, not there. But I think Houston's pass rush with Will Anderson and mates is going to put some pressure on Baker Mayfield here. Second road game in a row. I know it's a Monday night, extra day to prepare, not that long a trip at all. But Houston's a team, this is a desperate game for them. They can't start the season 0-2. They have a new offensive coordinator, but I think they're right there. They had to settle for 3 field goals in that game against the Rams. Probably could have gone either way. That's a tough place to play opening week against a really good coaching staff and actually a very underrated team. So I think Houston's the right side here. I think they win this game 27-17. I think Tampa's going to have trouble on offense.
Curious, your game of the week for folks, they want to get it. I know they do. It's Texas A&M and Notre Dame, and you'll tell them the side. How do they get it?
Wow, this is a big game here on Saturday night. First 10 callers, they call 800-400-9741. I'll give it to them for free. 800-400-9741. Game is on me, and we had a 40-unit max wager last week. How about this? We have a 50-unit max bomb going. I studied tape, and there's a line that's off 2-3 touchdowns. One team has injuries, isn't talented. The other team is under the radar. Blowout city here. We're not going to have to sweat it like Baylor last week. You want to get it, check out all the specials. One place, ParamountSports.com.
And you'll text it to me.
Yeah, right now.
Be well, good sir. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you, Jeff.
Take care. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, joins us every week. Always a pleasure to talk to Lee, get his picks. 50-unit play. Goodness gracious. Now, I was on it Redemption Thursday last week. You know, we had Baylor, and we did have to sweat it against SMU, but we did have Baylor straight up on the money line with the Redemption Thursday picks last week, and that was his 40-unit play. So he does get credit, did get the win. Now a 50-unit play. Tom, I can't remember. I think you used to say that basically play Lee's 40s, don't play his 50s, or was it vice versa? I can't remember. You had it down pat for years.
Yeah, I could share that in the next segment when I have a camera.
I didn't know which way to go with it. I will have that text by the time we talk again. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV, Redemption Thursday. Our thanks to Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, to once again note he had LSU. He laid the 7.5. I know some smart guys that are on Florida this week, by the way. It's a kind of quirky game. Because if Florida still has some fight, they have some dudes that can make this a close game.
This is also history talking, which has no bearing on the present. However, there are these weird trends. Florida State traveling to NC State, no matter how good we are, it seems to be a house of horrors. Florida always gives LSU all they can handle, if not outright beats LSU. Doesn't always happen. I recall in 2010, the night that we beat Miami, and your guy Chris Thompson had a huge night, and Jermaine Thomas had a huge night. That was the night that LSU did the backwards flip on the trick kick.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But there's a lot of times when LSU expects to beat Florida and you go, geez, they're not even close. Like, Florida's the better team.
It's weird, and you're right. I've seen those two teams on the field a bunch of times. That's their cross rival. It used to be anyhow, and I'm always kind of, I don't know, man. I don't like laying a lot of points with LSU against Florida. Lee will. He's going to lay them. He thinks Florida's going to get blown out. That's the other side of it. What are you betting on? Well, last year they didn't quit on him. They didn't quit. And I think the reason they didn't quit on the coach a year ago is because the quarterback loves him. And the quarterback, by definition, is a leader in your locker room. And if he doesn't quit on Napier, then it's hard for me to believe the rest of the team will. Now, at some point, maybe Lagway will quit on Napier. I don't know. I do know this. The other part of this bet that you have to look at is Lagway's clearly not healthy. And Lee brought that up. He's clearly not healthy. I mean, there's something wrong there. So if he's not going to play well, then they are going to get blown out.
Well, and how about two pieces of evidence from LSU? Clemson's down to Troy last week. They look uninspired. So is that win for LSU, while significant, how significant is it? To what extent did they play well in that game? And they didn't look great last week in a middle spot between two marquee opponents against Louisiana Tech. But are we sure that LSU is this machine that's just going to hum? Like, yeah, that's why I'm just going to enjoy watching this game. I don't even think I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
I'm not giving it to my clients, Tom.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not even going to live bet this one because I really think the first quarter can look drastically different from the third quarter. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it and watch it on television like normal folks do.
He has Clemson laying the 3.5 against Georgia Tech. He has Miami beating USF. My concern on Miami and USF, Miami just boat raced USF the last time they played them. And they should win this game again. And I don't know how much USF has left. USF could lose this game by 30, and if they win the American Conference, they are in the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs. So it may not even matter, but my fear is Miami doesn't play tempo, and to beat somebody by more than 17.5, well, presumably that number would be 21 or, somewhere around 20 or something like that. You start counting possessions, man, and if USF is game early, you could have a situation where Miami wins comfortably, like by 17, and you get screwed. That's why the number is what it is, and I could see it. I could see 34-17, and I'm like, well, Miami won easily, and we got screwed. If you're like,
Well, and Miami's performance defensively against Notre Dame, was that about Miami, or is that about Notre Dame looking like they had no idea what they wanted to be with a brand new quarterback and a new offensive coordinator? because once you got in that second half and Notre Dame got on a bit of a roll and they figured out what their strengths and weaknesses were, I'm not saying that if the game went another quarter that Notre Dame would win, but it was very different looking in the second half than it was in the first. Miami played a nobody last week. This dude is an offensive machine that they're about to face. It's a good test for Miami defensively. But, yes, the attrition part of it's real. And then Lee was coming at it from a different place. He was talking about the pressure on the quarterback. That's probably the better point. But my takeaway from the Florida game was Lagway missed a lot of open throws, probably because he had the time. So that's the root cause of it. But, yeah, my thought here is USF's pass defense is what I think wins or loses the bet for you.
Bengals -3.5 against the Jags. He took the Jags. He thinks they are new and improved under Liam Cohen. I do, too, think the Jags are new and improved, but I don't know about jumping on board with this game. I'm not giving it to my clients. Houston, he has -3 against the Bucs. He likes the Texans to win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a problem game identified before the season. Once Tristan Wirfs went down, this is a game every Buc fan went, ooh, that's not a good matchup. The Bucs may be the better team. In fact, I think the Bucs are a better team. I don't like the matchup. I don't know that we're going to be able to block Houston in this game.
Yeah, well, and they ran out that reconfigured and quietly, clandestinely, if that's a word, put together offensive line for the Falcons because they liked their run blocking of that group. I think this is a pass pro game, not a run blocking game. Well, I'd be very, very interested to see left tackle or right tackle if they do the same things they did against Atlanta.
I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And his game of the week is Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I'm kind of intrigued who he's got on the side there. I think that game can be very, very competitive. In fact, I think it's going to be very, very competitive. Hey, I mentioned it before we went to break. And I said that you always had a system within a system, and that system is how you bet Lee Sterling games and unit plays, whether they're 30 unit plays, 40 unit plays, 50 unit plays. And I couldn't remember what you were living and dying by, what hill you were dying on, which was you bet all of his 40 unit plays, which he won last week, or only his 50 unit plays and avoid the 40. I couldn't remember. So
I've never revealed this to the fans, but here you go, everybody. I fade the 50s. I do not play the 50s. He has lost in the last 8 years that he's done these, three or four of them. And I didn't track the others. You can say, well, Tom, that's 5 and 3. Now, I don't remember the other 4 or 5 because I just started turning it off when he said 50, and I didn't watch them.
He burned you on like 2 in a row. You're like, that's it.
2 in a row. Yeah, he had Pitt UCF wrong back-to-back years. He took different sides in consecutive years, and they're home and home, and he could not have been more wrong on those two, and they felt wrong. When you texted it to me, I was like, no, man, I don't like this. Maybe I have a bias here, and so I would test it that I bet it both of them. Maybe I have a bias. Maybe I just need to yield here. However, if he's got a 40-unit play or a high 40-unit play, I treat those as 60-unit plays. I take those to the bank.
Yeah, and we did barely skirt by last week, he and I, on that Baylor game. We got it. We got it.
Yes. And I don't know that was the right side or not. You could say that SMU had the yards per play advantage. You could also say that Baylor racked up over 600 yards of offense. Was that really the wrong side to take? But we were also sitting on Baylor as well. So that was a triple confirmation. We might have gotten away with one, but that's going to happen in gambling. It's just that with the 50s, and he's calling for like blowout city upset. I'm like, man, okay. All right. I'm going to watch it. We know what the game is. I'm going to watch it. We'll see.
Well, and he doesn't mind when I reveal what it is either, but I can't do it unless it's the day of the game.
Right.
Like, he doesn't mind me tweeting it out from Lee right as they're kicking off, or like 5 minutes before they kick off.
I think you know what? I think 5 minutes is fine because people can live wager now anyway. This isn't hard. It's not like you only have bookies. Like, people can log onto the app as soon as he releases a kickoff, and you could jump on it before the first play from scrimmage. So I bet, I think that's fair. I don't know what kickoff window it is, but 5 minutes before, I think that's fair.
The kickoff window for the kickoff window.
Don't do it if it's do a window, because if it's like an odd 4:15, it'd be like, oh, 4:15. Nice.
I'm looking for that game right now. I know Miami and South Florida is the 4:30. We're looking for Pitt, West Virginia.
What are you doing?
I'm looking for Pitt, West Virginia.
Okay.
Oh, nobody heard that.
Well, you didn't say which side, did you?
I did not say which side. I love that you're like, yo, what are you doing? And I wasn't even thinking about it.
Oh my goodness, you got into the age where you narrate your Google searches.
No, it's not a Google search. I was looking at my betting slip. I was trying to find my betting slip. I got like 9 windows open over here.
It's a 3:30 kick, so the cat's out of the bag. So there you go.
It is a 3:30 kick, yeah. But I didn't give the side, Tom.
You didn't, but I will tell you that when I heard the name Pitt, I was like, oh God, here we go again with a 50-unit Pitt play.
Well, I'm not going to say the side until the day of the game. I just was looking for the window. That is his big play. That game is.
We're not going to tell you the side of Pitt, West Virginia, even though he said the wrong team's favorite and it's blowout city going the other way. Y'all do your work on that.
You do your work, everybody. You do your own studies. You know what's funny? We got just a couple minutes left in the hour, so I won't get into another sports-related topic just yet. Did you use the library? I don't mean at Florida State. I mean in high school or middle school. Did you use the library?
Elementary and middle school more than I ever did in high school and beyond. I used to actually go get books, like, just to joy read from the library when I was in elementary and middle school, and that stopped around high school. I had the internet, so the internet was the thing that took up my time.
I just was wondering how many people use the library. It occurred to me that I still use the library, but I'm old. And I don't mean I use it as in I go and check out a book on, archaeology and bring it home and then bring it back and make sure I don't get late fees. Like that's not what I'm doing. But I use it for the solitude, like the quietness. We live in the noisiest world imaginable. Right. I love just going into a library and going into a back corner and reading whatever book I'm currently reading, or in this case, studying lines. And I just suggested it to my kids the other day that, hey, you can go to the library and tune out everything and just do your work, and you might be more efficient. Like, don't go in your room and, pull up your phone or your television, because that's what you're going to do. It's what you always do, or your laptop. Like, you can just go to the library, walk in, say, I have homework for so-and-so, sit down, do it. It's really quiet. You can hear yourself think, finish it, come home, and then do all the things you want to do on the devices.
Yeah.
And nobody really does, but I'm telling you, it's an underrated endeavor, everybody. Take your ass to the library.
It is. Well, and that's where, yes, it's a different set of 4 walls, and it signals to your brain that it's time to do this task. Yes. And I used to have that place on campus. Everybody had the place on campus. You go to Dick Hauser. Actually, I sat in Hauser's right field bleachers every once in a while because it was covered. The beautiful days of November and February and March, that kind of stuff. But it was the Quad and Williams building, the English building. And it's this middle area of the building. And it's a square area. It is open air. It's got little wires above it so that the birds don't come flying down. And, buddy, when you open and close the door, the echo off of the walls. That's how quiet. It almost sounds like a deprivation chamber. It is one of the most peaceful places on campus. But the library does have that as well. It has that peaceful quiet.
I go when we go to schools, whenever I go to road games, Tom knows this, I go to, if there's a college there, I go to the library at the college. That's how I judge, partially how I judge a university. What kind of library you got here? You got a good one? You got one that is inviting, that makes you want to read? You'd be very surprised to know, Tom, but it'll warm your heart to know. You know what library sucks? Notre Dame's.
Oh, really?
You would think that the historical school that they are, would have a peaceful, grand, inviting library, that the higher education calling would hit you in the face as you entered the building. Oh, no, it's sterile, it's modern, and it's ass.
Yeah. I will tell you that the library, I know people that work there at Florida State, and they have the exhibits and the antiquities. At Strozer. Yeah, and that's cool. That's a cool part of the library.
Yeah.
Strozer never motivated me. I couldn't go in there. That was, you talk about sterile, and it doesn't have that feel to it. Now, the new Student Union building, and by new, it's probably 5 years old. But I walked in there one day because we were between interviews and something I had to do near campus. So I just decided to work there. Buddy, they've got like a baby grand piano in there, and the kids are playing on the piano, and you just hear this beautiful commotion, like the noise of learning, which is really, really cool. Infinitely superior to Strozer. And I wish Dodd Hall was still a library like it was for the women's college back in the day, because Dodd Hall is beautiful with the stained glass. That should be where the library is.
I got to go check out the new student union. I haven't done it yet since they did everything. Hour number 2, my mom will join us. We've got picks to make there as well. And we'll get to some thoughts on some games this week that could affect Florida State. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV on a redemption Thursday. Went through the wagers last hour. Also got Lee Sterling's. For those of you that will want the refresher on that, I will do so in the 3 o'clock hour as well. In the interim, though, we've got to pack in a lot today. Mom will be along ever so shortly. We'll get our wagers in. I did take the week from her last week, 3 games to 1, so I'm up 2 there. We're off to a good start. I think that it's an interesting week in the NFL, by the way. I think you have to manipulate some lines this week, as I did with my 2-team teaser pleaser. And Tom, you alluded to that earlier in the week too. There's just a lot of sucker lines out there in the league this week.
Ooh, buddy. Yeah, this is a watch it and see week in the NFL.
I will tell you that for those of you that are fantasy geeks, I have put together now this year 7 to 8 sources that I now compile during the week in the mornings, Tom, to go for my prop get-togethers and also my league. You know who the number 1 rated? I guess this is solving for the future from ISF. I didn't mean to go this direction, but we should. Let's solve for the future with our friends at ISF. And let me just say, ISF serving clients nationwide. They're a management consulting and information technology firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, but they work in 40 states. It's crazy. Little old Tallahassee doing the big stuff all across the nation. I was looking at something they're doing today. They got this whole roadmap, quite literally, an implementation roadmap turns strategy into action by outlining the steps, milestones, resources needed to move your priorities forward. That's what they do. That's the roadmap at ISF. Your organization being able to execute with clarity and confidence. You partner with ISF. They'll bring whatever your vision is. Could be state government that you work in, whatever your vision is. They'll bring it to life for you. I was going to say solving for the future. I'm going to do an FSU-related one, but I'll do this because I took the time to do it. I might as well share the information. What do you think? Well, this would be wrong of me to ask you to guess this, but I will just tell you I have the highest-rated running back matchup in the league this week. If you got Christian McCaffrey, be happy because he's going against New Orleans, and that's the number 1 rated game on the schedule for fantasy running back. Same goes for Derrick Henry against Cleveland's defense as well. And then quarterbacking, you guessed it, it's Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But 3 this week, and it's a rematch of the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts against Kansas City. I would also figure in that both quarterbacks should have a good day in that Cincinnati-Jacksonville matchup. And if you must, because I did it with receivers as well, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, and Malik Neighbors, your favorites. I don't care what the rankings are. I'm leaving Malik Neighbors off my list because, they don't have a quarterback in New York, and I don't trust it at all this week.
Yeah, that was hurtful. I've drafted him, and
he's really good, and he was very good last year.
And it could be that, yes, correct. No matter what the situation is, I figure the numbers will be there, but they probably need Jackson Dart to get in there. Or Jameis. God forbid they let Jameis start a game this year because Malik Neighbors will go for 250 in that game. Jameis ain't going to have it.
Their problem is they don't trust their offensive line, and their offensive line was terrible, and they don't want to put Jackson Dart behind that offensive line. But I think they might have to. But I think they're kind of come hell or high water trying to avoid having to play him. And my guess is that Brian Daboll, as this year goes on, if they begin to keep losing games, and I think they will, at least with Russ at quarterback, then they'll have to make a move. And that becomes, do I play the rookie to save my ass? Do I do that and say, I need more time? We just got him. What am I supposed to do? Because if you go to Jameis, you kind of punted on the season, even though I think Jameis can win them some games with that running back. With that receiver, that tight end, they can win some games, but that line isn't very good. And Jameis at this age is not the runner or the elusive quarterback in the pocket even that he once was.
Well, I think for Jameis' sake, I think that would be a general manager play. Get him in for a half, get him in some kind of garbage time so that, and he's got to be active because, of course, he's been the third quarterback, and I don't know if they carry 3 on game day or not, or if they just let him sit and watch in street clothes, but have him show that he's still capable, and there's your trade chip. I think that's why they kept him. And they probably would have traded him out of camp if there was a major injury somewhere and somebody needed a quarterback in a pinch. But my guess is at this point, the Giants are looking at Jameis Winston as prime trade bait so they can get a mid-round draft pick for somebody who's desperate and they need a quarterback, much the way that Joe Flacco has been used in recent years, much the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick was used in his career. It's funny. Jameis was replaced for some swath of his career in Tampa by Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's now kind of become the modern-day Ryan Fitzpatrick of the NFL.
Seemingly beloved by most these days, just the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick was.
Right. Staggeringly good performances when he's good, and then reminders that he's not a starting quarterback for 16, 17 games. That's what Jameis has been. I still hold out hope that Jameis can find that magic situation and the light bulb clicks and everything is good to go. But right now, he is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
But I do love that he's embraced it, and he's done so well for himself. You want to talk about time being the differentiator. Being on the air, and I talked about this last hour in the opening segment, and I got a really nice message via social media from somebody who talked about listening to that 9/11 show in that morning, and I appreciate you out there for doing that. Thanks for letting me know that you were listening to that and thinking about that this morning. You think you know about a person's reputation and the way that they're viewed, at least the way the public consumes sports, football in particular, and the way we view quarterbacks or really any player in the league. After a certain amount of time, you figure that's who that person is, and that's what we think about him. Now, you and I have documented that quarterbacks, we've kind of done a 180 on quarterbacks. We used to be very pronounced in our beliefs that this person is or is not a good or upper tier quarterback. We've learned that some can be terrible in one place, get a new lease on life some 8 years later, and have a great window of 3 or 4 years, and it changes the way they're viewed or what you think they are in their career. And I don't mean as a person, I mean as a player. But we knew Jameis more than most because obviously we had the good fortune of watching every single snap Jameis Winston ever took in college. Most of the NFL viewing world didn't. They knew from headlines, many of those negative, of what they thought of Jameis. They knew that he won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, but they didn't really know who he was or what kind of person he was. They just know what they read. And unfortunately, early in his career, what they read were not good things. And to that end, I will tell you that I thought he was forever doomed and that it was unfortunate. Some of the things he brought on himself, I understand. But some of the other things we've well documented and we thought were unfair. And I've talked about that. And I'm not going to go back over that. But I thought those are the kinds of things that you can never escape. But I am wrong. In Jameis's career, we have watched him go from pseudo-villain in the eyes of many who did not know the man to beloved character of the game. Like, I meet people all the time that I would assume thought the worst of Jameis, and they're like, yeah, I don't care anything about FSU, but I'll tell you that Jameis Winston makes me laugh. He seems like a great teammate. Like that kind of refrain or descriptor, I hear it all the time from people. Like if you're traveling and somebody sees you got an FSU hat on, like, oh, man, I loved Warwick Dunn and I love Charlie Ward. And hell, Jameis really cracks me up. I like Jameis. I didn't know what to think about that guy in the beginning, but I like him now. He makes me laugh. Like Jameis is a character.
Well, that's who he was before everything went down in 2013. That's who he was to the media, and that's who he would have been consistently had there not been, all of the stuff that happened away from the field. Some erroneous and some self-inflicted, as you said.
Yeah.
I would just love to see a scenario by which, I don't know what franchise would do it, and it's 1 in a million shot at this point. Jimbo Fisher is an offensive coordinator at the NFL level. Give him a shot with Jameis. Because I wonder, just a little bit, we all talk about how Jameis made Jimbo, but maybe it's the other way too. Maybe Jimbo brought the best out of Jameis. Maybe they just see the football world so similarly that even though in 2014 he threw a lot more dangerous passes than he did in 2013, I wonder if you put Jimbo, an offensive coordinator, in a situation where they're rebuilding and they're tanking to draft, like what the Saints are doing. Imagine if there's a franchise out there that clearly is only trying to win 2 or 3 games, but you make the mistake of bringing in Jimbo as the OC and Jameis as the quarterback. Would they make magic together one more time? Because they really did see the world the same way.
I suspect that they would get a lot out of that partnership and that relationship one more time. I think James that's the part of it that is interesting, right? He's seen as a certain kind of character, but what's lost in that is that there are games, and he just had one in Cleveland last year, where you're reminded of the extreme talent that he possesses. Now, unfortunately, there are games that remind you that he takes too many chances with the football and doesn't see to his left very well. Has always struggled with, linebackers to the left for whatever reason. I don't understand that, but he does. But there are pockets of time, games, entire halves where you go, that player today, with the way he's processing what he's seen on defense and the protection he's getting with the arm talent that he has, is a top 3 quarterback in the league today. Like right now, this Sunday, he's that. Next Sunday, he could be a bottom 3rd quarterback in the league. He could be the guy that costs you the game, quite literally. But when you get those glimpses of the high-end ability, the guy that throws for 500-plus yards against the Rams, the guy that can single-handedly take over a game and make throws that you're like, I'm not sure there's 4 quarterbacks in the league that can make that throw. Like, you see that in him. You're reminded of how special 2013 was and how talented he is. But you're right, that marriage is something I'll say this for the listeners who were not listening to me back in 2013 or 2012, 2013, 2014. I did a weekly interview with Jimbo Fisher from as far back as when he was named offensive coordinator and then later head coach in waiting, and then obviously when he was head coach. And I think almost more than any coach that's ever been on a staff here, I had the greatest insight into the way Jimbo Fisher viewed football and players and games in the sport than I did anybody else that I've ever covered. And that was because of access. And because of that access, I talked to him weekly. And then later on, it got to a point where we would quite frankly text each other. I mean, I could text him on a random Sunday about our interview we were going to do later, or a random Wednesday, and ask questions. And that was nice, that part of it. It's a very complicated relationship. Anyhow, that said, he would say to me, and did, and you've heard a lot of those recordings, Tom, about Jameis, that he thought he was a football genius. Yeah. Jimbo did not hand out that kind of praise to any other player that I've ever covered that he had at Florida State. Now, there were guys he liked, and there were some defensive players that he would fawn over. LaMarcus Joyner, he loved LaMarcus Joyner.
He did. Yeah.
He loved LaMarcus.
Yeah.
And he loved some other guys. But the player that he gave football flowers to, and he saw as an equal intellectually, was Jameis. And
yeah, he said something that I can't repeat here, but he says he sees stuff, and then his voice trailed off. Jimbo's. He's like, he sees stuff. I don't know, man. Like,
yeah. Well, famously, he said that Jameis was the first person to tell him in a game that he was wrong, that Jimbo was wrong about the look that they just saw on defense. And Jimbo was furious. Jameis had thrown an interception, but it was the right decision based on the defense's last second shift. And Jameis had, based on their reads, where you go with the football. And he went, according to their rules, where he needed to go based on the defensive shift at the snap of the ball. And when he came to the sideline, Jimbo said, damn it, where are you throwing the ball? That's not the look. That's not what we do. And all this, he's mad at him, right? And Jameis goes, no, coach, you're wrong. Now, first of all, most players never say that to Jimbo Fisher, like ever. Not about the look, not about defensive X's and O's or offensive X's and O's. You don't. You just don't, because you're not going to be right. Jimbo's going to be right philosophically, strategically. And James, well, no, you're wrong. That's not what they were in. That's not true. And I'll tell you why. There was a subtle da-da-da-da. And he tells him, and Jimbo's still mad. He admits it in the game. He's still mad thinking about it, right? He's like, no, that wasn't true. And I suspect that the reason he was mad is he began to doubt himself, which he never did. So now you're like, damn it. What if he's right? Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe what if he, oh, damn it. I don't, we'll have to wait. So, he's like, you could just picture it. It's like that friend who you have. We all have friends that we have all of our friends have varying degrees of specialties or expertise. And some have more in common with you than others. Some you respect on the same level about a subject. Some you're like, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Whatever it is, right? When that friend second guesses you on the subject that you are kind of an expert in, but you also respect the hell out of their knowledge in that same field, and they're like, well, that's not true, Tom. You've got that wrong. And I'll tell you why, because that wasn't the year. It was in 1957. And the reason I know that, and then they give you like a good reason, and you're like, maybe he's right. Maybe. You turn into Jimbo. You're driving home like, well, maybe I never thought about it, but I guess Bill could be correct. I don't know. And you go back, you can't wait. Nowadays, we just check our phone. But yeah, we've all had those moments. And I suspect that's why that's why Jimbo got upset, because Jameis got in there. He got into the dome. He's like, I know that was cloud. They were in cloud coverage. Is he right? Were they not? What? And then, so anyhow, he looked it up, and that's when he had the conversation with me and said, that son of a bitch told me I was wrong. And when I went back and looked at it, I'll be damned. He was right. There was a subtle shift and I didn't see it, and he was right. That was one of my favorite conversations with him.
He and that was Sundays that he would go and grade film. And that's why he was famously late for his coach's show with Tom Block and his interview with you.
Oh, famously is right.
Because he would just be in the film room. And I'm sure that night he probably chuckled, which he never does, and went, okay, all right. I got somebody special here.
Yeah.
This guy is something.
Yeah. Neo and the Matrix is what you once said about those two together.
Yeah, he sees it. He's beginning to believe.
I would like to see him one more time. Speaking of like solving for the future, tonight you got two games. You got the Commanders at the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. That actually, guys, we dialed up. We got us a good one on Thursday night. This is a good game.
Oh, you've reminded me. I'm going to have to make sure that I erroneously, my nephew has not reminded me because he's gracious, but I didn't pick up NFL Plus for him yet to watch the Raiders, which I'm sure he's happy for because that was a close. Didn't they close? No, they won.
They won. Yeah.
Ooh, see, I failed on that one. So I'll sign up for him and for me so that I can watch tonight's game. I'll be at a bar that will not have a television that has Prime on it. So I will need to make sure my phone is ready to go.
Yeah.
Or we'll have the college game that you're going to tease, but it will not have the NFL game. So I need to go get that done.
Well, and listen, Al Michaels spent an entire year bitching about the quality of games they didn't have, right? Like how upset he was. Can you imagine paying Al Michaels all that money to be that indignant and angry about having to call this game that's beneath him?
That's the one time I would root for Herb Street to go, good for you. Yeah. That's great. Good for you.
Like, here's the thing, Al, and I get it, you're old, and we lose our filter, and we get old, and, we get indignant at times, but you're getting paid millions, you're way past your prime, and you're going to be mad on a Thursday night about having to cover an NFL football game? Like, I get that you were in the booth of Monday Night Football for eons, and you got nothing but the choice game of the week, because that's what they would do back in the day on Monday Night Football. Like, you got a colossal matchup on Monday Night Football that everybody, back in the day, Al's like previewing the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like they were getting the creme de la creme every week. And then later he was doing Sunday Night Football, and they usually have good games on Sunday Night Football. He got stuck with Thursday. Admittedly, that first year, holy moly, they had some bad football games. They were like, Tom, it was like a classic This week on Thursday Night Football, Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit taking Arizona versus Cincinnati. And you'd be like, I don't know. Don't feel that one.
Might be a movie night. We might be watching movies tonight at the house. Yeah.
This week we've got New Orleans versus Seattle. You're like, do we? I don't know.
Here's the difference. This is why I have come to say that in his super senior citizen status, I don't like Al Michaels at all. I enjoyed him so much earlier in his career.
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah.
Guys like Vin Scully and Bob Uecker and others, I know I'm just used 2 baseball examples, appreciate that they still get to do what they love. Al acts as though he's put out by having to do something that he doesn't really want to do. You know what, old man? Freaking step aside then. You've made plenty of money. You don't need the money. So get the hell off of television. If you're too good for it, go ahead. Like, that's the thing where I'm not trying to be an ageist here. There are plenty of old announcers that love what they do.
Well, I'll tell you one that we make fun of, but he does clearly love what he does. Jim Nantz loves the big events that he gets to do.
Right. Yes. How about the guy who we said it was time for years? Well, we have for a lot of guys, but Vern Lundquist. You think Vern Lundquist wanted to give up that chair? No. You think Vern Lundquist had an air of superiority and I'm going to condescend this event that I'm covering? No. Like, that makes me sick. Like, come on, man. It's such a privilege. Get the hell out of your own way.
No, and if you talk to people in the industry, Vern Lundquist is as highly regarded an announcer that's ever been.
Yeah.
Even though it was time, he wasn't breathing so well, and he had a tough go. But he was still, that voice was still classic, and he clearly loved what he did.
Where's the sense of entitlement from him? You never caught a whiff of it. And this clown on Thursday nights is just he can't be bothered. You know what, dude? Go pound sand. I go get somebody for $250K a game.
NC State Wake Forest is the other. It's a classic Thursday night ACC matchup. Now, I will tell you this, trying to gauge the conference, and, we do that because these are things that affect Florida State. Anytime a team that is on our schedule is playing a game within the conference, I do want to pay attention to it. I want to watch that team play and get a sense of who they are, at least at this time. And B, that in a roundabout way, in an ancillary way, that it might affect where Florida State ends up, either A, from a perspective of a committee member, or the rankings or whatever it might be, and B, it could affect the conference race. Now, to a lesser extent with this game, but you get my point. NC State being a 7.5 point favorite on the road. For starters, NC State is not great. They weren't great last year. I think Dave Doran is starting to call it a day, guys. I think the Dave Doran run, which was a hell of a run, a much better run than I thought he was ever going to have. He deserves credit. But I'm getting a sense we may be seeing pretty much the end of Dave Doran at NC State, because I don't think they're very good. And to be that big a favorite over Wake Forest, well, it tells you Wake Forest at home on a Thursday night to be more than a touchdown dog. They must think Wake Forest is cheeks. I mean, just cheeks.
Yep. This is ASS football. That's what this is. Different degrees of it, I think, tonight.
Well, I'll be watching the pro game mainly on the 100-incher. We're taking in the Commanders and the Packers. The iPad will have the iPad will have NC State Wake Forest. It will be nestled next to me on my left, but the 100-incher, we're going with Commanders Packers at Lambeau, because that should be a good game. All right, Mom's going to join me next. We got to pick that game and all the others. I'll remind her who won last week. She'll remind me who's the 2-time reigning champion. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We couldn't cut out of this week without doing the right thing, especially because I did proclaim I was going to return to glory and not allow for this nonsense to continue, as my mom has won back-to-back seasons. This aggression will not stand, and I'm off to a very good start. Cue it up, Tom. Let's do this thing.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room!
Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
The graphics over the top, including the funny pirate one, which makes me laugh. How are you, Mom?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Good. So last week we had 4 different. I won 3, you won 1.
Yep. So
Uh,
you're 2 up on me,
I'm
and
2 up heading into this week, and
that's not too bad. That's not too
I feel like you might be on the ropes.
bad. No, listen, I was on the ropes last year, and look what happened.
Came roaring back, but I can tell you're a little discombobulated. There's a standing 8 count going on already early in this fight. You didn't come prepared.
I'm telling you. Well, every year I think it gets harder and harder. I don't know, and it takes me a little while to get my footing to realize who's where and coaches and quarterbacks and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm doing all right. I looked up a couple of them this week just to make sure. And so anyway, I said I didn't think it was as hard this week, but I said, watch, I'll probably lose half of the ones I thought were easy.
Can't tempt the football gods by saying that. I do think it's hard this week, but at least you and I are only picking straight up and not against the spread. Against the spread, it is really difficult this week.
I don't think I could do it.
You could do it, Mom. All right. Our first game is tomorrow. It's Commanders and Packers. Commanders at Packers.
I know.
What say you? Good game, actually.
It is a good game. I picked Washington. I think that is a good game. I know they're playing in Green Bay, but and I know Jordan Love is good too, but I took Washington.
Well, we got a difference of opinion right off the bat. Give me the Packers.
Okay.
Packers to go 2-0. Here we go. Giants at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
I too will go with the Cowboys. This is actually sneaky good game coming up. Bills at Jets.
I know, the Battle of New York. I took Buffalo.
I do too, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends up getting weird. The Buffalo's defense is not good, and Fields looked great against the Steelers. This will be interesting. I take Buffalo as well, but I'm curious. Browns at Ravens.
Ravens.
Correct. 49ers at Saints.
I'm not picking the Saints again. 49ers.
I'm going to pick the 49ers, but they're all beat up. Their receiving core is banged up. Their quarterback is banged up. Kittle at tight end is banged up. I could see this getting weird. It's just that the Saints suck, so I'll go with the 49ers. Rams at Titans.
Rams.
Probably. Jags at Bengals.
Who'd you say? Jacksonville?
Yep.
I took Cincinnati.
Me too. All right. Bears at Lions.
Oh, that could be good too. I took the Lions. I think they're going to be really aggravated. And I don't know though. I mean, I don't know if they're as good as they were last year. I'm not sure. Did they lose people? I'm not sure.
They lost 2 very important offensive linemen, and I think it's going to show up all year long. I was surprised Hutchinson didn't get any pressure on the quarterback this past week. You know, he's coming off the injury after remember him dominating the Bucs in a game we won?
Yeah. Another thing, though, that I think is maybe even more crucial, didn't they lose a lot of their coordinators?
Well, they lost Ben Johnson, who's their offensive coordinator, who went to coach the Bears.
Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking they lost another one, but anyway, I don't. Yeah, so we'll see. So I'm going to pick them this week, but after this we'll see.
Well, they lost both coordinators, so you're right about that. But I do wonder about the offense a little bit more. I took Detroit as well. Seattle at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I took Pittsburgh.
Me too.
Yeah.
Patriots at Dolphins.
I took the Dolphins. They're playing at Miami. I'm thinking it's going to still be hot there, and that might help them a little bit. And I don't know why they were so bad last week. I took Miami.
I'm going to take the Patriots on the road to beat the Dolphins.
Okay.
The Dolphins might be the worst team in football.
Okay.
We'll see this weekend.
Right.
Panthers at Cardinals.
Yeah, I took Arizona this week. I should have taken them last week.
We both got them. Broncos at Colts is actually an oddly interesting game.
I know it. I took Denver, though.
I'm really
Denver's supposed to be pretty darn good this year.
I'm torn on this game. I thought Denver looked like ass last week. I'll take the Broncos, but I'm iffy on it. Eagles at Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. I think the Chiefs have got some issues too.
I hope they do. And I told you before the season that I thought they were going to have some issues.
Yeah.
Well, and then I have Falcons, Vikings.
Oh, I took Minnesota. I know. Penix is going to be really, really good. But I don't know. I think Minnesota's good too. And I really like their coach. Now, I know Minnesota struggled, but they finally got it together in the second half. I took Minnesota.
I'll take Minnesota too, but I'm torn. And finally, it's us again, the Texans on Monday Night Football, Mama. It's the Buccaneers and the Texans. What do you got?
I'm taking Tampa Bay again. I got to take them. I think they're. Well, anyway, I'm taking them. I know Houston's good, and like you were saying, I know they've got a good defense, but I just think we're gonna prevail.
Chargers, Raiders. There's 2 Monday Night Football games. I didn't want to forget it. So Chargers, Raiders also on the docket for that Monday night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We didn't pick that yet. I took the Chargers.
I'm going to take the Chargers as well, so we don't have nearly as many different this week as we did last. Just the 2, right?
That's Green Bay, Washington, and
the Patriots,
New England, Miami. So now, see if I win both of those, we'll be back even.
You're not going to win both of those, but I will say that if the Patriots go down and beat Miami, Josh McDaniel could get fired within the next 2 weeks in season.
Yeah, and see, isn't that crazy? Because I really thought he was a good coach.
It happens quick. It goes quick. It was quirky and cute for a while, and now it's annoying and brazen. So it's like they look at him now, and they're like, yeah, this little doofus kind of does.
He looks like a total nerd, doesn't he? He looks like the most un-football coach. It doesn't look like he should be on the sideline.
Well, he's an Ivy League guy.
Yeah. Well, he looks like one.
He does. And at first, it's all cool when the nerd's winning. It's like, oh, he's outsmarting everybody. When you start losing and you look like that, they're like, why the hell did we ever hire this guy as head coach? What are we doing?
I know. Well, and he comes out with some crazy, outlandish things in his press conferences.
Yeah, it's less and less. It goes, again, it's less and less endearing when you're losing. You can be goofy. You can be an eccentric. If you're winning, everybody loves you. You can say crazy things. You can dress uniquely. You can do all those things. But when you lose, they just become very annoying.
I know. We'll definitely find out this week for sure. So I don't know. We'll see. Now, are you guys, did I hear you say, is Florida State, are they off this week?
Yeah, it's a bye week.
Okay, I thought I heard you say that. Okay,
so that's why we had to pre-record with you a little bit early, but we didn't want to miss our pick segment with you, Mama.
No, so. This is very important. This is a highlight of your show. I'm teasing.
No, it's. I think a lot of people agree with you. It's great.
Oh no! But anyway, this is going to be on Friday.
Yeah, we'll have it all geared up and ready to go. Maybe on tomorrow, so we'll see.
Oh, well, you gotta let me know that now.
Okay, so you can watch yourself. Is that what you want to do?
I like to watch us. Yes, I like to. Well, I watch your show anyway a lot of the time. But
so
anyway.
if you did what I do for a living, you'd never want to watch yourself. It'd be the last thing you do. Like I never spend any time watching anything that I do. I'm so tired of me by the end of the week. There's no chance.
Oh my God, that's funny. Well, anyway, let me know if it's going to be on tomorrow.
All right, love you, Mom. Bye bye.
All right, love you too. Have a good rest of the week. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So that's Mama. Our picks will be posted there. You saw them scrolling across the bottom of the screen so that you know. And we also, don't forget, we have Lee Sterling, so his picks are in as well. So we're all good. We're all caught up. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. It's that time, guys. We did ISF earlier. We love collaborating with them, but we also love working with my man, Adam Tolliver, and his experts and cohorts at Artisan Financial Strategies. We'll do some red zone at the end of hour 2. This is not the traditional time slot, but as I mentioned earlier in the show, we're off tomorrow on Libations Friday for the bye week, and we're back on Monday. Tom, do we have a best of tomorrow? I don't know what we have. We've got some.
We'll be replaying a lot of these elements. So the plan that I have is because Coach Speak is running next hour. Spoiler alert. Yesterday's hour 3 We'll be running an hour 3 tomorrow, but then we're going to run 1 to 3 p.m. same because it's the wagers, it's the red zone, it's the ISF. So you're going to get Lee's picks and Mama's picks again tomorrow. So a lot of the last couple of days worth of shows.
All right, perfect. Okay, just couldn't remember. If you would, cue it up. Let's do some red zone action right now.
Welcome to the majesty.
Every freaking rep.
The elegance.
To win the game. Oh, he hits the upright. It's no good.
You have entered.
Someone burned down the funeral home. You burnt the funeral home.
Lives will be changed.
Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
Mothers will cry.
It's tough.
Legacies are etched into eternity.
I know who I am.
North. South Dakota was his brother from West Virginia.
This is the Red Zone.
It's good to know. Bum, 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 bum. Artisan Financial Strategies prepared to help coach you to victory for the retirement red zone. Look, you might be at midfield. You want to plan ahead. Others of you are down on the goal line, ready to punch it in with retirement. You need to know how much you can spend without running out of money. If that's the case, unless you want to protect costs, carefully plan your legacy maybe. The Artisan team brings a combined 30-plus years of experience doing just that. World-class resources. They'll help you navigate the way. Check out Artisan Financial Strategies, NoleRetirement.com. That's a good thing. Let's go, Tom. What's first down?
First down, I'm going to ask you about the offense. Ahead of the Miami game, so over these next 2 games, what is the most important development that you can see to give you confidence for the Miami game on offense for Florida State?
The continued success in the passing game. I think they're going to be able to run. Now, I could cop out and say the health of the offensive line because I think that's going to be of vital importance all season long. They just don't have quality depth there. But aside from citing injuries, which is everybody's biggest concern, I will say that because I know Tommy can run it better than most, that's for sure. And I know what Gus wants to do in terms of running the football. So that's obvious. Continue to develop in the passing game. There's some elements there that I already really like. And if that gets better and maybe a fourth receiver emerges, somebody that we're not talking about right now, you have Deuce and you have Squirrel and you have Javian Boggs. Do you have a fourth receiver that you begin to like? Some people might say that's Micah, but not really in the passing game. I mean, you know what he's doing. It will be interesting to see if they can develop that, if they can get that, if Elijah Moore or Lewayne McCoy, somebody like that. If we get somebody else on the ledger there, that'd be
well.
nice.
Lewayne McCoy has full contact practices this week for the first time. So whatever he was dealing with, there is a ramp up, and that's a very good sign. And hopefully he gets on the field for the Kent game. If he's full steam for practice, I would imagine he'd play in that game.
Which means he'll be ready to go and hopefully having carved out a role for the likes of Virginia and obviously what you just asked, Miami. Second down.
I'm looking at the Miami game again. We're not overlooking Virginia. This is just fun during a bye week. More important to the Miami game, the health of Randy Pittman or the health of Squirrel White?
It is a great question, but I'm going to say Randy Pittman because I think he is a very key cog to everything Florida State's going to do on offense against the good teams they play. And Miami will be a very good team. I think Miami is a very good team. Thought that before the season began. I still think that. But that physicality over speed is where I'm going for my answer. Randy brings a nastiness to this offense, and you saw it against Alabama. Now, obviously, he got hurt, so he's had to sit out. You need him back. You need him to be part of these big games where the teams are your equal, if not deeper, in terms of talent and size. So, yeah, he's my guy.
Down, I'm going to flip the sides of the ball here. Most important development on the defensive side of the ball for Florida State over the next couple of weeks that you'll be watching is what?
Oh, that's a good question, Tom, because they've already blown me out of the water. I mean, I'm honest with you when I say that I didn't think the defensive line would be this good and have this many answers. They continue to have guys in there that you just didn't know much about or didn't figure would be utilized in this way. And ordinarily, I think that would be my answer, but they've shocked me to no end there. Continued good play out of the linebackers. perhaps that's is it another linebacker to come along for the ride? Is it somebody, Blake has kind of added to this quite a bit. Is it the continued development of Blake Nicholson? Is it the future emergence of Omar Graham? Who is it? What is it? And so maybe another linebacker to come to the party.
So for me, I think the answer would be the continued development and proof that James Williams can finish plays as a pass rusher. That would be good. For the Miami game, you got to get that quarterback on the ground. He's not going to take off and run. His eyes are going to be down the field. So you can't have a moment like a Ty Simpson moment where I know that's because of his elusiveness at Alabama. But if you have any of that extra time, that's a yikes. That's a big yikes with that quarterback.
I 100% agree with that. You got to get to him. And that's the key against anybody playing Miami, because when he has time, he's good.
Fourth down, I would ask you, set the over-under win total. Your expectations for Florida State. They got 2 in the back pocket. It was 7.5 before the season started. Where are you setting the number? 8.5, 9.5, 10.5?
I'm going to go 9.5, and I would probably bet the over, juice it to the over a little bit here. I think we're starting to think about 10-2 long and hard, aren't we? Here's the thing: for a lot of you, myself included, you're thinking maybe better than that. I mean, but that's where I'd put the number to entice the bet. Is 9.5, and I think I would take the over there on a 10-2 campaign. And I don't think I'm out over my skis with this. I'm not overreacting to the lopsided nature of a game in which physically you're the bully dominating the little kid. I mean, again, the score doesn't matter to me in that game. I'm talking about the mentality, the attitude, and the emergence of players and the way those players play. I really love the physical part of what this team is, man. They just care deeply.
To follow up on that, is the reason you're juicing it to the over at 9.5 because of what you've seen on offense or defense more? I know the answer is yes, it's both, but which side of the ball would create confidence?
Defense, and more defense. I didn't know up with his previous defenses and the 3-3-5, what we knew about the history of that defense. Tried to figure out which of our guys from a personnel standpoint could match what he wanted to do, what he did do at Nebraska. Which of those guys, who's our guys that looked like those guys that made those plays against Ohio State and teams like that? I was kind of wondering about that. What I learned very quickly is that Tony White is a very good football coach, because he took the talent that was here, along with a few new faces, obviously, but he took a lot of the core guys that were here and turned them into the types of players he needs to execute this defense. I mean, Earl Little Jr. looks like an entirely different football player than what we saw with him under Adam Fuller. And the way he's utilized and the way that he's got new players like the Desir twins and other guys that we really never thought we were going to get anything out of to come out and play not just snaps, but play a role in making plays. I mean, you're seeing it at every level of the defense. I just mentioned linebacker. You're seeing it. You're seeing it in the secondary with guys, and you're seeing it on the defensive front. It's bravo. But I just continue to harp on, if you're going to play with that kind of speed, with that kind of discipline, and you're going to hit people like they're hitting people, you're going to be in it with a chance to win it in the fourth quarter a lot against almost everybody you face.
I think we've said this, but maybe not presented it in this way. The fact that this defense has proven to be deep now only strengthens the offense's ability to play tempo when it needs to. What we were worried about principally with tempo for the offense was, well, that's going to wear the hell out of your defense. They could, if they needed to, get into a score fest with Miami. Let's say it's a race to 42 or 45, something like that. And we really wanted to continue to play tempo, forcing them to play at the speed that we want to play. I didn't think we could absorb that defensively. I think by default, we were in trouble in that moment before the season started.
Agreed.
Now, I don't know that that's the case, because you can reliably, I don't know, 25. I know they did against Alabama 25. I think you can reliably roll out 20, 22 guys out there on defense, which helps you if you're going to be playing a 70 to 80 play game both ways. I think we're kind of fit for that.
It blows me away. It was my big fear. I didn't like the marriage of up-tempo with lack of depth. Pep. Just with you, I was like, man, do we really want to play very, very fast? I don't know that we have 11 reliable people is what was kind of what we thought about. And now, like you're saying, I mean, he feels comfortable with 20 to 25 guys. It's the most surprising aspect of the turnaround that we've seen so far. Hey, look, they got their first big road game against Virginia in a couple weeks. That'll teach us something. I don't think Kent's going to teach us anything we don't already know. So the road game against Virginia will teach us something new because road games are always different for young kids. And then number 2, that Miami game, like that's a team with a lot of talent. So how do you match up? Alabama had a ton of talent. We saw that play out. Give us one more like that, and then let's talk. My goodness gracious. Third hour coming up. Some coach speak coming your way.